We're live.
Deep breaths. Oh,
You need to sit over here.
here we are. I am so excited. Hello, friends and family, and welcome to another weekly Saturday morning coffee and conversation with members of our If You Could See Me family, our past participants, past, present, and future participants, professionals, peers, and doers of this work in their own ways to change the conversation around mental health, eliminate stigma, and take shame off the table. What would happen if we no longer accepted shame as an option? What if we just chose not to accept it as truth? What if we chose to rebel against it as a tool for control, both control of us and control of others? It's one of those things that we learn how to do and then we use it, and sometimes we don't even realize that we're using it. That's what I mean by taking shame off the table. In the negotiations around the boardroom of my life, shame is no longer an option, and that is often easier said than done. It requires a commitment, intention, a community of strong, beautiful, intentional people to help remind me that I don't have to accept shame as an option anymore. I invite all of you to join me in this revolution to take shame off the table. And I thank you for joining us today. My guest today is I feel like it's old home week. I feel like we're getting ready to celebrate the 4-year anniversary of our very first If You Could See Me event. And Coda Hale was a member of our very first group. And I am so thrilled to finally have you back on our stage, our now virtual stage, to join us and bring your story to the If You Could See Me audience. Coda, thank you for joining me today. And what made you want to come back now?
Thank you. Last year was shit. Last year, I think sitting alone for a year was really a period of self-discovery that I was like, oh, you know what? I have not dealt with some of these things, and shame was still an option for a year. And so to sit back and think just to share my story, if it helps anybody, if it changes one person's mind, then it'll be worth it to just get it out there.
Well, I can only imagine that it's, super, super scary to, to come forward and to do that, especially after a year of a lot of vulnerability. As I sort of tell people every week, back in the beginning of this year, I reached out to all of our If You Could See Me participants and said, hey, join the podcast. I'm going to start doing these every Saturday morning. I want y'all to come, pick a date, pick a topic, and let's just sit down and talk. And, this expands the opportunity for everybody to continue telling your stories.
Yeah.
So you landed on LGBTQ plus and mental health. That's your topic. I didn't come up with that topic. So why are we talking about this today?
Because in the past year, I realized, obviously, so first of all, I'm gay. Let's get that out there. Coming out for the millionth time. In the past year, I started to realize, when you think about, remembering that first moment, I realized I was gay. Remembering, there's the moment you realize you're gay, and then there's the moment you realize what gay is, that there's a name for it. And then there's a moment that you realize that's not okay. Nobody's going to be okay with this. And when you're young, you're like, oh, okay, whatever. We can keep this secret. As I got older in the past year, when I was thinking about it, I was like, no, that's bad. That's not okay for you to be. When you're 10 years old and you think I'm not okay, it's not okay to be this way. Right. That has affected me at 32. There are things that last year was still like, oh no, that's not okay. I can't do that. I am 32. I am gay, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong. I don't have to carry that shame from 10 years old anymore. Right. And I think we need to start having that conversation and educate people so that 10-year-olds don't have to feel that way anymore.
Yeah.
you have to create that safe space for them.
And so, what was your experience?
Oh God. All right, so my sisters, the moment I realized I was gay, my sisters had this Jonathan Taylor Thomas poster, like 90s heartthrob home improvement, in their room. And I was like 4 or 5. And I would sneak into their room and like kiss the poster. I was like, oh God, he's hot. And I remember sneaking and doing it, but like had obviously had an attraction to him. So I realized like, oh, okay. Then it was just a few years later. My house was a pretty open. We talked about drugs and we talked about sex and sexuality and all that. So when Ellen came out on her show,
Mm-hmm.
our parents explained to us what that was. That was a few years after that. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then I remember my dad had this like visceral reaction to it. Like, that's not, yeah, gay is a thing, but it's not okay.
Right.
I'm like, okay, fine.
Duly
And
noted.
then, yeah, like, oh, okay. And it still took a minute for it to click because that was 2 women. So am I gay? Like, is it the same thing? What's going on? And then, yeah, once it clicked, then it really started to click. Like once it was like you start to see, you know, you're seeing the whole age shit carrying over from the 80s. You're realizing like, oh shit, I can't get married. Like that's not an option. So that's not it's definitely not okay in the eyes of the law. Matthew Shepard happened when I was a kid, and that was like huge news. And you're like, he got tied up and killed because he's gay. So I can never come out. I'm never going to be able to do this because
Never be safe.
I'm just going to get killed if I do it. That's the only thing that you have going for you when you're that young and realize it.
Yeah. Wow.
I think that's why representation is also important. Like I know people get upset and people are like, "Oh God, it's going to turn my kids gay if there's a gay person on this kid show." But if I had seen that, if there would have been like one positive representation of me, not a show getting canceled because somebody's gay, not it. I just see it on the news. I see this guy gets killed. We finally got Brokeback Mountain, and he gets killed for being gay. Like it's like, can we just have like one happy love story, just one, please?
Can we just have
Something?
people being people who also happen to be gay, and that's just
Right,
part of their experience?
That does not have to be the
entire
narrative of
story?
right. It's always because even when Brokeback Mountain came out, it was the gay cowboy movie.
Right.
What?
It was more than that, but
okay,
right.
cool. Yeah.
So, I think it's I think it's really incredible to hear you say, and it's important for people to hear, especially parents, I think, to hear you say that even though the experience that you had, was your parents were more open than maybe some other parents who would have just turned the television off or not talked about it at all or not explained to you what was happening, or, it was still an experience that led you to believe that something was wrong with you.
Yeah.
And that there were, repeatedly these sort of internalized narratives that said, I am not okay. I cannot be authentic. I will not be safe. I am not allowed to have the same things that other people get to have because of this one aspect of my identity. And so how did that affect the rest of your life? How did that affect your mental health? The choices that you made, that you did, the options you felt like were available to you.
Yeah, there was, oh God, okay. Yeah, so I would call myself lucky. My dad left when I was 11 or 12. And so when it was just my mom, I thought my mom, we'd be riding down the car and she'd be like, Dakota, are you gay? And I'd be like, no, not ready, not doing this. I thought in my mind, like, okay, I have this safe space now. It's just mom here. My siblings knew because I came out in school, so they knew. And I was like, it's just mom, I can come out. And when I did, she screamed. Like she was so angry, you're not going to do this, blah, blah, blah. Me and her have a great relationship now. Me and my dad have a great relationship now, but that was a journey itself. Um, and around that time, well, when I was 10, I went to a birthday party and I started doing cocaine, which is wild for me to think.
At
Yeah,
10 years old.
yeah, yeah. The girl's grandma was doing cocaine in the bathroom, and I was like, I've always wanted to try that. And grandma was just like, cool, come in here. And I didn't stop for years. I didn't stop and it's still, when my niece turned 10, I just looked at her like, if you even think about it, you're such a baby. But in my little gay mind, it was just another secret. It was just, it doesn't matter. You carry the weight of this secret on your shoulders as it is. What's another one? It was so easy to get. I grew up in the country where there was nothing to do other than drugs. so, so it was so easy to get from that point forward. I wasn't doing it daily at 10 years old, but I was doing it often enough to get addicted. Um, and that was, what is it, like 38 to 48% of LGBT people get addicted to drugs because it's numbing.
Right.
I wasn't even addicted to drugs in the sense of like, oh, this is exciting. I'm getting this rush. I'm chasing this feeling. I did not have feelings.
Right.
I could sit there and just be high and just be like, cool. I don't have to think about anything. I don't have to worry about anything. I just have another secret, not a big deal. Let's keep it moving. That stunted everything for me. Like when you're addicted to drugs from the time you're 10 to 20, you're that's you're not growing during that entire time, like mentally, emotionally, like you're just like there, just sitting there. Watching the world go by on drugs for 10 years is the wildest thing. Like it just, everything zooms past. So I come out, mom goes off, I go get high. Like, okay, cool. I don't care. Like I have no feelings to this at all.
Right.
And the thing about it is, like I said at the beginning, what we don't get warned about, what nobody tells us when we know that we're gay is that you will come out 10 million times in your life.
Right.
There's not, every time you meet somebody, you have to tell them again.
Mhm.
So, God, people, like,
Right.
let all the bad ones be behind us now.
Right.
Come on. I just had to come out at work again the other day, and I was like, really, really, Like, we have to do this again. Every It was older people, and they were like, okay, cool, but I'm like, don't go there. But
Did they ask you?
they kept on saying like, do you have a wife or do you have a girlfriend? I'm like, there is more to life than being with somebody, first of all. And then finally I was like, guys, I'm gay. Ain't no girls, ain't no. They're like, oh, you have a boyfriend, husband? And I'm like, nah. Okay. They just kept it moving. I was like, oh, okay.
Can't
But
we
yeah,
ask one another different questions? Haven't we reached a point
these
in
are
like
older
the
people.
evolution of humanity that we could say, hey, do you have any hobbies?
Right.
What do you
right.
like to do? What's important to you?
These are older people. I got a second job because I had to get out of the house after sitting inside for a year.
Right.
I got a second job and I work with older people, and I love it. I love each one of them. They are such a different energy. So they're that age where you're just like, let them say whatever, just whatever. But I was ready for like a terrible reaction when I came out, but I was like, okay.
Oh, well, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess if you have to do it, thank goodness that it's
Just let it all, like I said, let all the bad ones be behind us. But so then each time I came out, it got harder really instead of easier because you have that first bad one. Because my siblings were like, yeah, we know. Some of the kids at school were like, yeah, we know. Whatever, like not a big deal. That first bad one sets you up to every single time you come out again.
Right.
Are you going to get that same reaction?
Right.
I don't ever want to feel that way again. I felt that you feel like in that moment, my mom didn't love me. She was scared. That's what that was. But that's why it is so important that she had created a safe environment for me to come out. She'd ask me, are you gay? And the moment I said yes, she reacted in fear.
Right.
If you are going to be afraid when your child comes out, anybody listening, if you are scared when your child comes out, be afraid behind closed doors.
Yes.
Do not do it in front of us. It is not our job to be your strength when we come out. We just took all of our strength to come out.
Yep.
That was like, Mom, what is going on? It took her a long time. It took her a long time. That summer, we were going to a concert, and she was like, "I'm not taking you if you're going to be gay." And I was like, "Okay, well, that's not going to change." Then
I'm not going then.
Yeah. Then maybe a year later, just out of nowhere, she started talking to me about my boyfriend. It was like 2 years later. She's like, what's going on with y'all?" She was like irritated that she was having the conversation, but she knew like I was going through a lot with it. And I recently asked her, I was like, why did you realize how depressed I was when you brought him up that day in the car? And she was like, nah. She was like, I just wanted to know what was going on with y'all. And from that day forward, we slowly built that relationship where I'm not the gay son anymore. I don't carry all this shame for her and this fear of what's going to happen to me for her. I'm just Coda.
Right.
But intertwined in all of that, obviously, is me being addicted to drugs.
Right.
And then I'm raging. Coming off coke, I'm the worst. I'm like the biggest rate. It's terrible. So meanwhile, she thinks I'm gay. Plus, I have this like mental disorder that's never going to be solved because every night I'm just screaming at the top of my lungs, beating on anybody in my sight, like just going slam off. And all I want to do, like the first couple of times I did it, I remember just like coming off drugs and just thinking, you're free now, because drugs will grab a hold of you and you are not free on drugs, period. But wanting, like, as I'm screaming at people and I'm angry, all that anger was everything I'm carrying. I wanted to just scream like, and I'm gay. Like, get the fuck over it. Here I am. Like, here we are. I wish I would have just come out that way. I feel like that would have been the better introduction to this.
Right. Well, we're human, right? Yeah. And we have the benefit of hindsight to say, wouldn't it have been, healthier and less terrible for me if I had, made all these different choices? But, you make the choices that you can make in the moment. And when you're a child, I mean, how old were you when you came out to your mom?
12 or 13.
Right. And so you were a child.
Yeah.
And being 12 or 13 without having to come out and without being in active addiction is really hard. Right. So you just being 12 or 13 is a shit show.
Yeah.
So then you just got to compound the shit show with a whole bunch more, stuff to deal with. Really, really incredibly difficult things to deal with. And so, you made the choices that you made in the moment based on what you thought your options were. If you don't think that you can tell anybody about the drug problem, and you don't think that you can tell anybody about your sexuality, and you carry around all of that rage and you don't know how to process it, and you've been numbing for years at that point with pretty heavy drugs, when those emotions come up, you don't know how to feel them. You don't know what's happening to you, right? Yeah. I mean, it's so funny. Everybody who's listening on the podcast that is not joining us live right now or on video, Coda has a couple of absolutely adorable pugs, and one of his pugs is
they're French bulldogs.
Oh, sorry, French bulldogs. I apologize. The French bulldog is making some very hilarious noises. So that's what you're hearing in the background if you're not actually watching and you can't see this adorable puppy on screen, who is, right there with dad, like chilling.
Because like I told you, they're never around me unless we're doing something on video. And then they're like, boom, who is it? What's going on?
Well, they want to be on video. And I assess that they probably also, want to provide you with moral support. So they want to be there with you. So, when parents are listening to this, and, you know, adult members of the community who want to be more supportive and provide supportive space. You know, your mom may not have been in a position to be able to, you know, to come around when you told her. And, you know, that is obviously something you'll carry around with you for the rest of your life. What would have made that easier for you? You know, now, obviously we're saying moms, dads, parents, please be respectful, kind, supportive, and keep your fears and worries to yourselves.
Yeah.
But we also know that there are some parents who can't do that. And in many cases, those parents probably won't be listening to this show anyway, right?
Right.
To hear the things that we're saying, because, you know, we talk about hard stuff here. And so in many cases, people who don't want to talk about hard stuff are not tuning into to If You Could See Me, right? So, but what we do know is that supportive spaces other than home, when home isn't a supportive space, supportive spaces, supportive adults, other people who, you know, can help a young person feel safe in the process of coming out, can be life saving, not just life changing, but they can be life saving. So what would have benefited you, do you think? And what would you want to see?
One thing for sure, I've had a few mothers reach out to me in the past year and a half and said, like, I think my son might be transgender. I think, you know, I'm looking for a psychiatrist. He's questioning his sexuality. He doesn't want to talk to me about it. They're always like, is it like, should I just ask him if he's gay? No. Like, no. Do not, when we come out, let it be our own coming out. Had my mom not continuously asked me, she asked me like 3 or 4 times, are you gay? Well, are you bi? Oh. Like, to the point that when I did come out, I said I was bi, thinking I was like lessening the blow. There's still a chance there I'm going to be with a woman. There was no chance. It wasn't going to happen. Let us own that narrative. Let us own our story, because when you ask us, you've just completely taken that away from me. Because if I would have said yes then, and I wonder all the time, like, had I said yes when she asked, what would her reaction have been? Right. Was she ready in that moment? And it was that my one chance to get her and her be okay with it. And then after, outside of that, be supportive, be a supportive adult. The statistic is like, you're half the probability of, or the possibility of you attempting suicide before 18 drops to 20% from 40% if you have one supportive adult in your life.
One supportive adult. That's
just one.
Just one. You know, and everyone should have more, obviously, but just one person that you feel really sees you and that you can feel safe, you know, just being with, can save lives. Does it save lives? Right? So it's so important. And I want to add too, because I'm a mom and I am, you know, a member of a large community of parents, and, you know, do not, this is from me, mom, to any other parent in the world. Do not ever come out for your friend's child or to your friend about their child. If you hear that so-and-so came out and you're friends with the parent, you do not have the right to tell that parent that their child came out. Do not ever do that. That is a horrible, horrible decision. Okay? And I say that because I have had loved ones who came out in school before they came out to their parents, and the friend's parent, the parents' friends told the parents before the child was ready. And 20 years later, that is still a horrifying moment in their history. They did not get to own their narrative. And it is not forgivable. It is not something that you can just say, okay, well, you made a mistake, right? Like that you took away someone's ability to tell their story in their own way, and it is unacceptable. So if you are ever faced with that, parents who may be listening to this, please know it's not okay.
Yeah, I can't. I was lucky. My siblings, we were also close in age. They had to know because I came out in school.
Right.
Which was okay. Speaking of supportive adults, the teacher I had, terrible. We were passing notes as we did back then before we had cell phones and could text, the Stone Age.
Right.
We're passing notes, and I'm passing a note to this girl, and the teacher intercepts it, and she was talking about, or she was passing it to me, and she was talking about a girl that she liked. I'm talking about a guy that I like in the class. Before he opens it, she just blurts out Dakota's gay. Like she just announces it to the whole class. And the teacher like took a stick and he like beats it on the desk, on my desk, and like because everyone's laughing and looking at me like, is it true? What's going on? So he like makes this loud noise for everyone to be quiet, and then he turns around and looks at me and he's like, well, are you? And I was like, what the hell? Like, why? And I could have been like, she is too. That's what the hell that's what's going on. And I just took that moment. I was like 10 or 11. I was super young. I was just like, yeah, that was my first coming out, was in that classroom. And so many people, I was scared to go to lunch that day. I was scared. Like we all were in the same class. Like it was a group, it was a pod, and we went to all of our core classes together. I was scared to be around these people for the rest of the day. And after about a week, it just wore off. It was like, okay, yeah, that's the gay kid. But because of that, because I was in school, because I rode the bus with my brother, it went through the entire school system. Like older sister, younger sister, everybody knew. It was later on that my brother tried to out me. But I was lucky that my siblings who knew for so long hadn't done it. My brother, I remember my brother being like, your son's a faggot. And my mom said, don't you think I know that? Like, what? I was like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah. And he was getting in trouble over something. It's so, being gay it's not an insult. Let's start there. I just saw something yesterday where somebody commented on a rapper's post and was like, y'all gay. And I'm like, okay, good for them if they are. What's wrong with that? Are we angry about that? What are we doing? Right. I'm confused here. It's 2021 and we're still doing that? Okay. It's not, I'm not upset because I'm gay. Well, not anymore. Like everything's fine over here. So I don't understand why when my brother was getting in trouble and it had like when she was about to be outed by her note, and it maybe the teacher would have read the note and just laughed and thrown it away. But when she was about to be outed, she threw me under the bus. When he's getting in trouble, he throws me under the bus. Like, I don't understand how that's an out for anybody to out somebody else, but it happens all the time still.
Yeah. It's amazing the harm that people can do to one another when they are afraid.
Mm-hmm. It's pure fear.
Yeah.
It's like, even like, I know that the way my mom reacted, it was fear. Mm-hmm. And it took her a long time to identify that as fear. Like in the past couple of years, we just had the conversation about, you were afraid of what, and she was like, yeah, well, yeah, I was afraid of what was going to happen to you. Again, when we have Matthew Shepard getting killed just for going to a bar, she grew up, she was an adult in the 80s during the AIDS pandemic. When that's all you know of gay,
right?
Then of course you're going to be afraid when your son comes out. It is just as important for adults with gay children or LGBTQ member children, however you say that. That was a mouthful. To have representation, to see positive stories and understand.
Exactly.
Just as important for me to see it.
I'm so glad that you said that, because representation helps all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not just about a person being able to see themselves. Obviously, that's incredibly important. But to create an inclusive world, people have to see different types of people represented as quote unquote normal, right?
Yeah.
It's normal to be gay. It's normal to be a person of color or a Black person who is educated and who is in a leadership role. It is normal to see women in leadership roles. It is normal to see, straight guys in caretaker roles. Like if we can do that, if we can have the full spectrum, it is normal to have a person with a disability, whatever that is, represented in that space. A person with a mental health condition,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I am a person with depression and anxiety, and that is, a fingernail fraction. There we go. A fingernail fraction of what that means as for me as a human, right? I'm a lot of other things too, but that thing shouldn't disqualify me. Being gay shouldn't disqualify you from accessing the full experience of humanity. And the only way that we sort of do that is by, I hate the word normalizing, but that's what it is. It's, just sort of like having representation across the board of the human experience means that everybody gets to be at the table, right?
Yeah.
And they're allowed to be seen as whole and complete people.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, speaking of my mom growing up or being an adult during that, it's interesting to me because even when I made a decision to come out to my grandparents, which was not, it's easy. I even hear it today, and people will say like, I mean, my grandparents are old; they're gonna die. I don't have to tell her. Like it's so much easier to take that route.
Yeah.
I had my dad's mom was a mile away from my house. I was always around her. I had to come out. And I don't think there was ever like a formal coming out. She just knew. I started bringing my boyfriends to the holidays and all that stuff. Like it was like, okay, whatever. My mom's parents live in West Virginia, and we saw them once a year. I hadn't seen them in 6 years or 7 years, and I called and was just like, "Hey, we had a long conversation, and I was like, well, there's something I want to tell you." I'm like, "I'm gay," and she said, "Oh, honey, I knew that," and I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, so we're on the same page here."
Right.
But it's interesting because when I went and saw her, she said, she just like snuck in on the last night. Her little dig. I knew one was coming. She's like, it's going to kill you one day, right? And I'm like, what the hell? Like, how does gay kill you? But when you think about it, in the time she grew up, gay was still being treated as a mental illness.
Right.
Like it was classified as a mental illness
until very recently. Very recently.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so for her to think it's going to kill me. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. I just kept moving with that one. Like, okay, yeah.
And there's that, and that's the thing. I think that that's why it's also important to honor the individual experience of whoever the person is. It's important to not say you should come out to everyone all the time. Like it has to be an individual experience because not everyone is safe to come out. Yeah. Not everyone is equipped with the tools that they need to be able to come out to every person in their family in the same way. Because, if it's going to damage you emotionally or potentially physically, obviously that you shouldn't. But if you're going to get those little digs all the time and it's going to... He's like, hell yeah, amen. If it's going to damage you, it's okay not to do it, right? It's okay not to tell your grandparents if you don't feel safe doing that, right? But it's, and I'm not in any way invalidating your experience. I feel like it's important for everyone to feel like, okay, well, I can do this in my own way. Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so what did you do when your grandmother said, it's going to kill you? Like, what was that like?
I just smiled and nodded. I was like, okay.
Okay.
me and my mom had made a decision purposely. We usually go, mom would go for a week and see her parents.
Right.
And we were like, let's do 3 or 4 days. Let's drive up one day, spend 2 days, leave, because it can be a lot. And like mental health issues run in the family.
Right.
So we knew you never, we all have that family member. You never know what you're walking into.
Some of us have several.
Right. So we had no idea what we were walking into. And so we just went for a couple of days. We were shocked that she waited that long to to get her dig in, because we were like, oh, okay. And I think it's hard. Trigger warning. I was raped, and I don't that she said that to me just months after I was raped, and she knew about me being raped and almost getting killed, and I will never know if she was saying I'm gay, it's going to kill me,
Right.
or you got raped, you could have been killed, you got raped because you're gay, it's going to kill you. Like, I'll never know which way she was going with that, but it doesn't matter, because either way, there's no nice way to say it's going to kill you.
Exactly. And again, it was another situation where a person who we can assume loved you was speaking out of, fear and, uncertainty of what your life was going to look like with her limited experience of the world and probably not knowing a whole lot of gay people. It is difficult to not be afraid, especially when your grandchild or your child comes to you and says, they were the victim of a sexual assault. But again, we should keep our mouths shut.
Yeah.
We should not project our fears onto other people.
Even I was 27 or 28 when that happened, and it's not my responsibility, no matter how old I am, to identify your fear.
That's right.
Because what you say is impactful.
That's
period.
Right. Mm-hmm.
When you say you love somebody, it means just as much when you say you hate somebody.
Right.
It's not up to me. So luckily, when I was a kid, I realized after getting high many times that, mom was just afraid. Mom has no idea what's going on. And I think also with that, there's a fear, because I think in the back of her head, she knew. Obviously, she knew she was asking me. But if I was able to keep that from her, what else was I keeping from her?
Right.
I think, y'all have an intuition. We all know that. I think she knew that this was not a mental health issue at the time, with the drug abuse, the rage, the coming down. I think somewhere in the back of her head, she's like, there's something going on here.
Right.
And that just, like you said, compounded everything, being like, oh, I'm gay on top of it. Coming out to the rest of my family overall my aunt was a teacher at our high school, so there was no hiding that one from her. Like, she was going to find out. My aunt, that's why I don't think there was ever a formal coming out to them, because my aunts and grandma lived together a mile away from my childhood home. So it was just, once she found out, went home and told everybody, and it wasn't really like widely discussed. But once the drugs really took over, because I was 15, 16, when it got to be like, oh, I can get this super easy. Oh, I can start doing this every day.
Right.
Oh, my friends are doing it too. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Let's do this. Once that happened, my dad at one point walked in. I was overdosed in the backyard season, and he just walked in and announced to the family, we need to face it. He's not going to make it to 18. It's just not going to happen. And from that point forward, I wanted to get off drugs so bad. I'm such a hard ass that I will prove you wrong.
Right.
1,000,000 times over. Being gay, being addicted to drugs, and then dropping out of high school, I was never my family just threw me to the side and was like, okay, he's never going to make it anywhere. We're going to have to take care of him. Because I'm gay, though, they didn't want to take care of me. when I wanted to go to school, they wouldn't help me. The family members that I had that were able to help me would not help me. I was 23, 24, a couple years off drugs. They wouldn't help me. When I wanted to go to rehab, they wouldn't help me. But I've sat there and watched them help the straight members of my family get clean, go to school. I'm gay. I'm not worth the investment. So the same time at like 16, 17, the first time I experienced that, the same time my family's teaching me that I can't rely on them. I can never rely on them for anything. My own actions are teaching me I can't rely on myself.
Right.
And that's the first time that I seriously considered suicide. Because I was like, you can't trust your friends. You got no family. You don't got yourself. You can't keep yourself alive this way. There's no way to do it. And then the hard ass in me just switched over and it was like, no, prove them wrong. Prove them wrong. Fight like hell.
Find whatever is in there that's going to keep you going and get through this.
I fought like hell I laid in bed for 2 weeks. The last time I got off drugs, the last time. drugs are a splendid thing. You know, there was so much shame in relapsing.
Yeah.
I just so much shame, and I did it a couple times. I remember I got off drugs when I was 16, 17. I was off for a year.
It's pretty remarkable, Coda, to do that by yourself at 16 years old after having used regularly.
And nobody.
From 10 years old.
That was when my family found out that I did drugs. They had no idea up until I celebrated a year. And we had a calm year, a year with no screaming, a year like, oh, what's going on with Coda? Okay. And I was like, oh, guys, I'm just celebrating, just casually, like, I'm celebrating a year off cocaine today. No big deal. And they were like, what? Oh, okay. That explains a lot. But then I was dating somebody older than me, and they had a really great group of gay friends. And mine was slowly forming. People were finally coming out. People were finally getting it. It was like, oh, okay. Because for so long in school, I was the only person that was gay.
Right.
The only person. When you come out at 11, you're going to be the only one.
Right.
So, which actually now I'm seeing more and more of like, of that not being the case. People are just, and it's not even a coming out. It's just, I wear dresses to school and I'm cool with that. Yep. I accept it. And
it's really remarkable. I mean, as a parent,
I love it.
Yeah. As a parent, it has been a beautiful thing to witness, you know, just kids being themselves and, you know, my kids not even, you know, batting an eye. It's not even a thing.
Yeah.
It just is part of who that person is. And I love it. And it is certainly indicative of a positive shift in our society in general, both, you know, in parents, but also in our systems. And believe me, I have a lot of problems with our school systems and our service delivery systems. They fail people all the time.
Yep.
But this is an area where I do see some pretty impressive growth. Long way to go, but there is growth happening.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I had one friend get caught in bed with his boyfriend by his mom, and the day he turned 18, she kicked him out. Like, boom, you got to go. Me and my partner at the time used his connection of friends and said, okay, we're going to find you somewhere to go. I had another friend, mom just completely disowned him, was like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm good. Leave me alone. And I watched their experiences. First of all, I relapsed so hard because I was like, well, how do I help these people? Oh, I need to be numb. I need to be numb because I can't take on everything they're feeling. And then I excused everything that ever happened to me because it wasn't as bad as their situation.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But and that's what it took. That's where last year I had to stop and say, like, it was still traumatic to me.
Yes.
Getting screamed at.
Yes.
It may not have been as bad as their situation, but being screamed at because you're gay is traumatic. No matter how bad it is, how good it is, whatever, like, it's traumatic. I'm allowed to still have trauma, though it doesn't add up to theirs.
Right. And it's such a valuable point. It's so important. It is one of the sort of foundational building blocks of healing is being able to have enough compassion for yourself as a human being to allow yourself to grieve, to allow yourself to feel whatever the feelings are and not compare it to other people and not say, I shouldn't feel this way or I don't have a right to feel this. No, you do.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to get past it is to allow it, is to accept that it is what it is and that you're never going to move through it if you don't sit in it and give it its due.
Mm-hmm.
Coda, you were harmed. The person who's supposed to love you the most, no matter what a wonderful person she is now, let you down in the moment, made you feel unloved and unsafe. And that is not okay. That hurt you. And you deserve to feel that grief and that sadness. And once you have allowed yourself to feel that grief and that sadness, it can dissipate. It can move into the context of your whole life as opposed to being like this thing that obstructs your view of the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it goes for everybody. Like, you
Yes.
cannot, everybody's trauma is individual.
Yes.
You cannot, like, you have a voice, you have your feelings, it's okay. I remember when I got raped, I'm mentioning my sexual assault and somebody else told me about theirs. And then they were like, but obviously it wasn't as bad as yours. It doesn't matter. No. It happened to you.
That's right.
It happened to me.
We don't compare trauma.
It's not, it doesn't, right.
That's right.
I'm not looking for a trophy. God knows I don't
exactly.
want it.
Exactly. Shitty things happen to both of us.
Yes.
Right.
But we, as a society, I think we're constantly looking and not allowing ourselves that grief, like you just said. We're constantly saying, like, oh, but I don't have it that bad.
Right.
I hate when people are like, oh, it could be worse. Yeah, it could be, but this is pretty bad. Mm-hmm. This is bad.
I had a very good friend who unfortunately lost her battle with cancer a few years ago. And she was one of the bravest, toughest, most incredible humans who just fought tooth and nail, and she was always filled with gratitude. And she was always like, I am tough and I'm not going to let this get me down and I can do this. And it was bad. And she was very sick and she did not have a lot of resources and she was a parent and she had a job and and she just kept, after she got diagnosed, she just kept saying to me, this terrible, we were texting, this terrible thing just happened. It can always be worse though, right? And after like 2 weeks of that, I said, friend, I think it's time for you to stop saying that. Like, stop tempting fate. It's really bad. And it's enough already. Like, yes, you can handle it if things get worse, but what is happening right now is bad. Yes, somebody else lives in a pile of garbage in the middle of an undeveloped country in absolute poverty, and that is terrible. But what you're dealing with is hard, and it's difficult, and it's upsetting, and it's terrible. And it's okay for you to say, universe, enough is a fucking enough. This is all I can handle today, right? Enough. And so, we don't have to compare ourselves to anyone else. It's perfectly acceptable to just be unhappy with that thing that happened and to grieve it and mourn it. The more we fight against it, the harder it is, like I said before, to get past it. And then it's really hard to have compassion for other people when you feel like you're forever sitting with this terrible, difficult thing that you can't get past because you don't let yourself feel it.
Yeah, because you don't even identify it as like, oh, that was an issue.
Right. Just this thing, I don't know why I can't get over it.
Yeah. It's like, why do I still think about that time Mom ran into my room screaming because I'm gay? Like, why do I still think about that? Because it was an issue. That's why.
It was not good.
That's why. That is not okay.
Right.
And it prevented, that interaction, obviously drugs, I was trying to hide that anyway. But for so long, for me and her to be as close as we are now, we could have had that for so much longer.
Right.
Everybody, I shut down around everybody because of everybody's like visceral reaction. Like, okay, I'm not gonna do this then. Fuck all y'all. Fuck y'all. Like I didn't
Right.
people I dropped out of school and it was becoming I was doing a lot of drugs. A lot of drugs. I was getting sick more often. I was running on I'm 16 and I'm running on half an hour of sleep and then going for another 27 hours before I get another half hour of sleep. That's not healthy. Just not.
That's an understatement, my
None
friend.
of us are supposed to live that way. But
Yeah.
I'm like out all night. Then I'm running home. Like I'm a nightmare is what I am. And I think they saw I mean, obviously I start missing school. I start, going missing for a day or two at a time, whatever. But they still don't know. They were so wrapped up in the fact that I was gay and their reaction to that that they missed important thing. Like I'm going to school and the bathroom wall says Dakota Hale's a fag. Dakota should kill himself.
Right.
It's just getting painted over.
Right.
Literally within the week, it's being painted over. So somebody has seen it, an adult has seen it, and hasn't even reported it to my aunt who works there.
Right.
Then my final straw, I was dating a guy. I was dating a guy at school. He was straight, still identifies as straight.
Mm-hmm.
And there were plenty of fights at school. I got in plenty of fights. That's whatever. But that rumor went around that we were together, that we had slept together. And there was always, again, being gay is not an insult, but there was always, if you wanted to like really piss somebody off, you would start that rumor. Dakota slept with this person. Dakota's dating this person. I saw you go to Dakota's house, whatever. And they would fight me like I started it. And I'm like, okay. They never called home. They never said like Dakota got beat up today.
Right.
It's just going home. Go on. You explain to your mom what happened.
Right.
In this case, when me and him started fighting, obviously school resource officer breaks it up, takes us to the principal's office. And it was different because a couple were looking at him like, tell them. Like these are adults, this is a safe place. They were like, well, we're gonna just let you off with a warning. After giving me a bloody eye and bloody nose and black eye.
Right. Got it.
They're like, we're just gonna let you off with a warning. They excuse him, and then they sent me down and they're like, I'm thinking about suspending you for 3 days. And I'm like, for what? And she's like, do you understand what you could do to him? Do you understand how you could ruin his life if you
Oh,
so I'm ruining his life because it's true.
Right.
I didn't go back to school after that.
Yeah.
I didn't go back.
Understandably.
And nobody like I've never told anybody that story until that because I was ruining people's lives. Why would I go back there? There was fights at home about you've got to get up, you've got to go to school, blah blah. No. I'm not doing it. Not if I'm ruining people's lives by being there.
By virtue of just existing.
Yeah.
And being yourself authentically, that is a danger to someone. I am so sorry that happened to you. I know that
the greatest revenge has been me busting my ass. Everybody was like, he's a drug addict, he's gay.
Right.
It's just not going to happen. He's just not going to go anywhere.
Right.
I busted my ass. That lady, that same principal, I ran into her and she was like, how you doing? And I was like, got accepted to Harvard last weekend, not a big deal. And she was like, you did what? And I'm like, yeah, you could never. I make more than her. Just the thought of, and not to say, I mean, teachers and administrative, they do not get paid enough. But at the end of the day, the goal was absolutely to make more than her.
Right.
To do better than her, to do good with what I make instead of sitting there and telling children, because I was 16, I'm still, as much as we think we're adults at 16, to hear, do you know what you could, you could ruin his life? Because she knew the truth in that room. She knew.
I recently had a situation with a student that I am affiliated with through my job, who had a very similar situation in 2021 where, the Zoom school is happening, all the kids are on the screen, and the other students are, hey, you gonna kiss your girlfriend this weekend? Hey, you gonna go out with your girlfriend this weekend? You know, what are you doing? You know, just bullying constantly. And, you know, the child just sat there and she didn't say anything. And the teacher, instead of shutting down the bullying, instead of saying, we don't do that to one another, we stop it, unacceptable, she just looked at the one who was being bullied and said, be tough, just ignore them.
Okay. Yeah. Wonderful advice there. That's how, yeah.
So
you're the adult in the situation.
Right. If you're a teacher and you're listening to this conversation, if you are an adult who holds space for teenagers to become full and complete humans, please know that not shutting down that type of behavior and just telling the child to bear the weight of that and expect them to just get over it and ignore that, and to understand that if it's happening in front of you to that extent, what level is it happening on when no adults are watching?
Right.
These children deserve to be supported and to have administrations in schools that accept, affirm, support, and educate. And that
if you are in any way around teenagers, you have to be completely open. You can't be, I mean, almost all of the teachers in my high school were like redneck, Republican, forced narrative, straight as normal,
right?
All that. Like, you cannot, and it's such an unhealthy environment. Like, it thankfully, most of the people in my class were super open-minded, completely opposite of what we were meant to be molded into in that school.
Right.
But what the hell? Like, you can't. I had psychiatrists when I was young and therapists that as an adult I've seen again. And I remember he was one of them that was like, when I got hospitalized after my sexual assault, and I told him what happened. I couldn't wait to see him. It had been like 13 years, and I was like, oh, I remember him. And he says, I remember him like writing in his notes, he writes homosexual, and then he looks at me and he's like, about me being raped, he looks at me and says, but I mean, that kind of comes with it, right? Like that's pretty normal for y'all. Normal for y'all. And I was like, okay, I've got to get out of this hospital.
Who normalizes rape?
Yeah. Well, apparently in the gay community, according to him, that's kind of normal for y'all. That's like to be expected, right? To be like, yeah, I step out on the street every day and I'm like, today's the day it's going to happen. You can't, and he still works with young adults and children. And I'm like, you cannot, you have to educate yourself.
Yes.
Period. And you have to know what you say, ruining lives. That's to be expected.
Right. Violence and abuse.
All these things.
Right. This is just normal,
I accepted like some pretty shitty relationships.
Yeah.
Some pretty terrible people. And I was not the greatest person. I was not great. But when you look at how we were talked to, what our own experiences in being gay we're not worth shit.
Right.
So when you watch my boyfriend punch me, don't act like I'm worth shit now when I wasn't 6 years ago.
Right.
Don't start that. I have to discover myself. Mm-hmm. And it took till I was 32.
Right.
To really be like, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. Right. I'm not going to put up with that. Like I do deserve a healthy, normal
right.
relationship where there is no screaming, there is no physical fighting, there is no drugs, there is no nothing. There is me and him and these loud ass dogs and just happiness. I deserve that versus everything. These are like pivotal years, 10 to 20.
Yeah.
I'm on drugs. I'm getting told that I could ruin somebody's life just for being gay. Mm-hmm. I'm getting screamed at. I'm getting beat up at school because I'm gay, because these fake things, like that will mind fuck you. Yeah. And you have to, as adults, you have to look at that. It's up to like some adult, some teacher, somebody should have saved me from myself in that moment. But instead, when they didn't, I just felt like I wasn't worth shit. And then they wonder, all of them are like, no, it's not a very healthy relationship.
Can't
Really?
imagine why I'm in an unhealthy
Really?
relationship.
you want to talk about that?
Right.
Can't imagine why I'd act this way. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Maybe because you told me I wasn't worth better than this.
and if you didn't tell me, you did definitely showed me that I wasn't worth more.
Right.
Definitely was not worth more than this. My God.
Well, and that's the thing that, like, I think it's as we wind down this discussion, I could talk to you forever. I really appreciate you, first of all, being so open and honest and vulnerable and here and present with me today, because what you're sharing is big and can be really scary. So I want to honor that, your courage to be here today, because what's true is that there's some kid out there who could hear this and feel seen, but there's also some parents and some teachers and some therapists out there who can also learn from this discussion and learn from, what does it mean? What is the message that we teach our children to internalize about themselves, about what they deserve, about what their value is, about, what they have to do to earn love and respect and worth in our society. That's what If You Could See Me is about, changing that narrative. It's about, changing the way we tell our story to ourselves so that we can change the way that we act in the world, right? Because when you think you're not worth shit, all of your decisions are informed by the message, I'm not shit. So what does it matter? It doesn't matter. Nobody expects anything of me anyway. Everybody thinks that I deserve to be sexually assaulted. They think that I'm worthless and that I'm responsible for ruining other people's lives. So why would I make a different choice? Why would I do anything other than exactly what I feel like doing in the moment?
Self-destruct.
Yep.
Why? What other option is there?
What other option is there?
I hated when they started with the "it gets better," because when we say it gets better, we're ignoring the part where it is pure shit. It is pure shit. But for any gay kid or parent, sit in the shit. Right. Just sit in the shit. Live through the shit. It's hell. Right. There's no way to make it better. I mean, we're seeing huge strides. Like we're seeing big changes. It's gotten better, but it could get so much better. But just sit in the shit. It's worth it. I love my stupid life now.
It gets better earlier, right? When you're not, when you have people sitting next to you in it, you don't feel alone. Then you don't have to think about, oh, all I got to do is make it through high school and then, I can start living my life. Like, what if we tried to make it better now?
Now, yeah.
Right. And there are certainly people whose families are not going to be. And it's, and that is that. And so they need that message. They need that, like, look, you just got to figure out how to get through this so that you can move through it and get to your life, because your life is waiting for you out there and you have to get to
life out there.
Right.
It's a great life waiting for you. I love my stupid life now. I'm like, this is so dumb what I have and what it's just me. And I'm like, I love this so much. This is and to think like at 18, I'm being told, or at 17, dad's like, he's not going to make it to 18. Look at me now.
Right.
Look what I did.
Look what you did. Look where you are. You made it.
Yep. It's a hell of a fight though.
Yep. Well, but it's important to talk about that too, right? Like, you fought. You're here because you put in the work.
You have to want this.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So this is my last question. Did therapy work? What worked? What helped you get where to a healthy place?
I had a series of really good therapists. I'm the person that goes and like, you have the breakthrough and then you're like, okay, I'm good.
Right.
I don't want maintenance therapy.
Right.
Yeah, I've done it all. And towards the end of last year, I obviously remote, Zoom therapy is a thing now.
Mhm.
So I didn't have to leave the house, and I was like, like it wouldn't hurt. I didn't have anything going on, but after a year sitting in a house by myself, I was like, I think I need to do something. I could talk
Yeah,
to somebody and just see.
sure.
And that's when some of this stuff came up, and some of like, oh, I'm allowed to have a trauma, even though it's not equivalent to being kicked out of the house. It's not, I wasn't homeless because I was gay. I wasn't beat because I was gay by my parents. Um, I still had a trauma. It was like, oh shit, okay, yeah, no. And now I think, currently I'm just doing like maintenance with her, and it's like, okay, cool. So I think I'll stick with it for a little bit. I will get to another point where I'm like, no, I fixed everything. I'm
Oh,
good.
good, right, exactly, and that's fine because there will always be
Yeah.
therapists out there,
Oh
and
yeah.
you'll
Yeah.
always be able to go back when you're ready.
Yeah. But it's been a series of, a huge help. A huge help. I think it's important because as a gay person, there's also the added layer of like you. I am still at 32 trying to figure out what type of gay I am.
Right.
Sometimes I wear nail polish. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's just because I'm lazy and I don't feel like putting it on today. Like what? Uh. Um. So it was important for me to not just stick with one therapist too. I think I needed the different people I spoke to because they brought something different to the table.
Sure.
So I talked to some people that go to therapy and they're like, I don't like this therapist. Find another one.
There
Try
are
another one.
many,
There
many,
are
many out
plenty.
there. Right.
Like if you're not getting what you need from one, go to another one.
Right.
And you don't have to have a big breakup with your therapist. You don't have to announce it. I'm going somewhere else.
Nope.
Don't make another appointment and go somewhere else.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
but therapy it's been really great.
Good. Yeah, I think it's important to, have the conversation and ask the question because, it works for some people and it doesn't work for other people. And like, that's okay. I think everybody should have something, whether it's a therapist or a shaman or a light worker or a Reiki master or, a tarot card reader, whatever. It's all, and I'm a therapist and I have a counselor professional identity, and there's probably a lot of counselors out there who are like, what are you talking about? But like, it doesn't matter because ultimately, like, you got to do what works for you. You've got to get out into the world and figure out how to unpack your shit so you can put it all out on the table and look at it when you're ready. And there are a million different ways to do that. Just the only thing that I say is just don't rob yourself of the opportunity to get to a healthier place. Right. And so however that happens, it's, more power to you. I like therapy, but I also am a big proponent of, mindfulness and meditation and creative outlets. And, so for me, it wasn't therapy that, helped me get to where I felt like I was healthier and able to, move forward in my life. It was writing and storytelling and, personal narrative work. And, so it doesn't matter. Like however you choose to get healthy, as long as you give yourself the space to feel what you're feeling, that's the most important thing. Coda, thank you so much for being here with us today, for sharing your story, for sharing your insights. You're just amazing. And I'm proud of you and I'm happy for you. And I'm excited for, what happens for you next.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yay. All right, y'all. I will see you next Saturday at 10 a.m. here on the If You Could See Me page Facebook, or If You Could See Me Facebook page. Thank you. Words, they sometimes come out in order. I will be joined by my very, very good friend, special guest host, Tara Colton. Our regular monthly guest host, Lucretia Anderson, will not be with us next week. She will be out of town on a very much needed vacation. But Tara will be joining me, and I am super, super excited to talk to her about all the exciting, wonderful mental health things that she's doing. We're going to talk about Mental Health Awareness Month, and join us, ask your questions, be a part of it. Love you. Have a great week. Woo-hoo-hoo.